Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Upper right corner we have Bisu starting as the red Protoss, bottom left corner we have Speed starting as the brown Terran. This is going to be on Deja Vu, which I'll be honest, I'm still getting used to the new ladder maps and the new maps across the board. Honestly, there's too many Eon. There's like, so you got Pantheon and Radion, and that keeps throwing me off. You have Dominator, a lot of blue tile set ones, Pantheon, or Deja Vu being one. Monty Hall being an anyway, still getting used to it. This actually kind of reminds me of old school Bluestorm with or old school Bluestorm era maps where they have kind of the nice harassable natural expansion for Mutalisks, and I'll be interested. I'm wondering if in the TVZ it ends up favoring Zerg, because I know Zerg have specialized in a lot of Zerg, especially at top levels, specialized into 2-ash mules. But anyway, you got, you know, the minerals here in the middle, which of course are just there for fluff primarily. Although I have seen instances where Terran runs here, and the 1024, by the way, nice little programmer humor. I have seen instances. So despite the size of this map, despite that it's 4-player, it's oddly light on resources. It's like you got one other quadrant you take typically, and then you fight over something else. And if you're going to fight over something, sometimes the minerals in the middle can be it. And that's where Terran honestly can get some late game something going on. Anyway, Speed, the new kid on the block, looks like he might be setting up for either a Rax into expansion. No, he's going to go straight early expand here, it looks like. And I think it'll pay off because this is cross position. Bisu going ahead and dropping an assimilator and a gateway. I'm actually curious if at cross position with the initial zealot that a lot of Protoss go these days, if this is still harassable. Interesting, just with the timing of everything, so we'll see. Instead, it looks like it is going to be Cybernetics Core first. There is an opportunity to go Cybernetics Core Zealot, then Pylon, but we'll see whether that ends up being the case or not. Zealot was going to be queued up, would have been queued up right there, so it looks like it's going to be straight to Dragoon. And potentially missed opportunity to create some havoc. Also, the barracks being dropped along. So basically what you'll see is barracks supply depot along this edge to create a barrier, and then eventually bunker up front, and then the sailed over to create that forward blockade. And at cross positions, it'll be a minute before Dragoons are able to make their way across. Now, we'll see if this triggers faster economy from Bisu. Also depends on when he ends up scouting it. If that triggers faster economy on his part, especially with the lighter pressure, I don't know what the typical responses are these days. Honestly, the early, it feels like they're, yeah, I mentioned this in a previous cast. I don't know if I'm going to upload it just because Bisu kind of, there's another Bisu game I did, and I was versus Terran. I was kind of commenting on the fact that it feels like the early game has had a lot of variation. Typically it's, you know, barracks, factory, and getting the vulture, and kind of a lot of the pressures around that mid game of managing that vulture, being able to harass that natural expansion. It's creates some fun. By the way, it looks like we're seeing Gateway into expand on the opposite end. Probe is actually cross scouting. The bunker's already in construction. There will be a first Marine here, but looking at this, Bisu's going to know immediately that that was a fast expand, and we'll see what the response ends up being. So he's got the one Nexus already queued up. Dragoon in the shorthand. What the Dragoon can do at the very least is try to intercept that SCV sooner rather than later, and deny some additional data. Deny the scouting to his opponent. SCV making its way to the top right. But we'll have to see. I will say Speed seems to be everyone's favorite new Terran, and that it's been that way for quite some time. And for whatever reason, I think it's mostly maybe I really feel like it's the 2-port Wraith versus Zerg for some reason. But when pro players play against Speed, something about it, he just throws them off their game, and it looks like that SCV is going to be able to make its way into the natural expansion. I don't feel like he's doing anything, like he does have creative builds for sure. I don't feel like he's doing anything so unusual, though, in a lot of these instances that would create, I will say his 2-port Wraith play is impressive. But for whatever reason, yeah, players just seem to have slippery fingers. They sweat and they can't hit their keyboards just right. And I will say that Bisu historically, he was weak against Terran, so we'll see if this turns into a victory for Speed and ends up, it looks like, wow, very fast armory. This is an incredible, this is wow fast armory. Look at that. So factory armory dropped at the sub 5-minute mark. So this is going to, I think this is going to turn into an incredibly fast factory push. And I'll be curious what the number of factories are. I wouldn't be shocked to see 5 fact, but possibly 6 fact. And it's going to be very, 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 very fast +1. And we'll have to see if Bisu becomes aware. And I kind of like the style of that. I actually love the style of this. And I'm wondering if Bisu's going to note the timing of these siege tanks and whatnot. He felt no vulture pressure. And we got siege tech being constructed, but this is usually you'd expect a siege tank behind here. So he's got to have the senses. But the thing is okay, I love Speed's game plan in the midst of this as well. He's like, I go for the fast expansion. What does Protoss do? Either typically they go for more greedy, faster follow-up economic play. Now that siege tank finally attacking from the high ground. Right? So let's go ahead and try to bait Bisu into going for more aggressive expansion, which by the way, he's grabbed that third. And then we're going to follow this up with potentially very, very fast, sizable siege tank +2 or +1 weapons. Ooh, Dragoon taking a big shot right there. It looks like, is he going to step forward? Took another shot and is now backing off. Comsat up also pretty rapidly for Speed, maybe to get eyes on what to guarantee. I think the necessity of that was to see whether Bisu was expanding or whether he was in fact going for more aggressive bust style play to assault this, because that's important information to have and adjust the build order from there. So Comsats sees, I think he saw the gateway count, got a good look that it wasn't like 8 gateways. He's trying to find that additional base right this second. I wonder if Bisu's also noting the Comsat flurry here, and 2 additional factories already dropped, and here's the 5th factory that I think is coming on the way. I'm expecting this to be 5 factory, not 6 factory. So I'm thinking it's 5 factory +1 in the midst of this. The Observer, however, is going to be able to wander right in. The question is this too late? Is this too late to do anything about it? We have Goliath range also getting upgraded in case the robotics facility was going to be the answer, because we already have the robo up. We have a shuttle queued up in the space of this. So with a good amount of Goliaths with that +1 weapons, basically going to try to shut down that early Reaver defense. A pylon blockading the 6 o'clock location just in case. The Dragoon's starting to fan out. I think, and we are seeing a 6 factory in the midst of this. So this is turning into a very, very aggressive push from Speed. The other trick of this though is with the way Terran play these days, this could just be 6 factory to establish early, kind of pull it out, say like, okay, are you trying to beat, are you going to be able to defend this? And then if not, I will just go ahead and grab a third. And I feel like that's worked out for Light is done very, very well with that. I think overall as well. It's not as economically efficient, obviously. There's a little bit speed to it. If Protoss manage it really well, they tend to swat a lot of that. But anyway, this is certainly going to hit before Zealot leg speed is in line, because here's +1 weapons finishing right here. How many siege tanks we got? We've already got 6 siege tanks. We're probably going to have 8 by the time this push starts moving out. There's the 7th. There's the 8th. And you're going to see a slew of vultures with a delayed vulture speed and mines along the way. So expect to move out in the next 30 to 40 seconds here. Speed currently just poking out a little bit. A vulture actually able to sneak through. Ooh, and Bisu a little bit concerned about that vulture wandering around. He really can't have any defense anywhere else on the map. He needs to keep this army concentrated towards the front to slow this down desperately. Now the upgrade's just about finished. 2 additional siege tanks going to be in the slew of this, so that's going to be a full 10 marching out. And do we even have, so we got 6 Dragoons right here. I don't even know that we're going to have a full control group. We got a little bit over a full control group of Dragoons to try to handle this. And a shuttle. I think there's a shuttle somewhere on the map, some Zealots. The Gateway Flood is here in the background, but Bisu just needs to buy time. He really needs to slow this down, and I don't know that he's got the capacity to do it. The Vultures attacking from the north, the Dragoons somewhat out of position. The Observer tracking this army sees all those siege tanks moving mid-map and pushing their way up. The Dragoons repositioning. We do have some Zealots in that shuttle, but I don't know. This is going to be a challenge. It is only 2 Goliaths, but this is going to be a challenging defense. Spreading out Vultures flooding across. And here's the thing, even if Speed with this +1 weapons, looks like he's going +1 armor to follow up. If he just holds this quadrant and presses towards that natural expansion, it's going to be very difficult for Bisu to do anything as far as a follow-up. So the Zealots, they're several seconds off the Zealot leg speed. It looks like the Vulture is able to crawl through. So there are a lot of Zealots. A Vulture able to sneak through the natural expansion, but the Observer is getting picked off on the forward front lines. All sorts of mines in the way. So Speed has a very nice forward position right here. And the siege tanks slowly making their way up to the high ground to force the Dragoons onto the low ground. Zealot leg speed is now here. If Bisu's going to defend this, This is the moment. He needs to get all of those zealots to bear out to the front and go. Now he's moving. Clearing a lot of the mines to the south. Is it enough for speed? The zealots are there. The shuttle taking some hits. It looks like the zealots are able to offload all but one. The Dragoon's now following up, but you can just hear the zealots dying in mass, and there's still a lot of siege tanks remaining. However, the Dragoons have managed to push up, but it just does not look like enough. This is close reinforcement points though, and more zealots are streaming their way in, and we'll see if these vultures are sufficient. They are delaying these zealots. We're going to see another stream of zealots press into this. The tanks are now unsieging. And Speed, is he going to back up? Yeah, he's got to back up in the midst of this. This is just too close and too much damage. So Bisu, by a thread, halts this momentarily. He still needs another round of something to press up. And Speed still has those big 4 siege tanks now with +1 armor towards the front. So Bisu, with an initial hold, still needs to flood the additional units forward. Speed hasn't given up yet, leaving a lot of this out on the front. More Dragoons making their way up. We have 2 tanks unsieged, and I think Speed has dropped the ball now. At the close reinforcement points, Bisu might... Oh, actually, never mind. This maybe isn't over. The mines there. Are we going to get Mine Drag? Okay, a Mine Drag into Vulture, not going to be sufficient. And more siege tanks making their way up. So we got 4 siege tanks, some Marines on top of it. Now more Zealots out. We got 1 Zealot that's going to be able to clear that minefield. This is razor thin both directions of Speed, and it looks like Speed does have the supply lead. He's just reinforcing, moving the siege tanks to the 12 o'clock. They should be able to siege that front line from there. More units making their way forward for Bisu, but this honestly looks insufficient. Shuttle with a Dragoon in it, and plenty of Vultures able to clear the rest of this out. We have the Marines marching their way forward on top of this, and I think Speed's done it. Pummeling the front, closing that off. The probes are huddling and no longer mining here. Look, a single Dragoon going to try to clean up the siege tanks there. But I think this is too little too late. And with the interrupted mining at the 12 o'clock, Bisu no longer has sufficient output off the 3 gateways to defend what Speed's tossing out. Although Speed has pulled back and gone ahead and grabbed the 6 o'clock base in the midst of this. Up 20 supply, though, is going to be able to halt the 12 o'clock. The Dragoons trying to... This attack would work really, really well, honestly, on a lot of other maps as well. So is this Nexus going to die now to these Vultures? Still trying to press through them. A Mine Drag weakening the Dragoons, but not finishing off. More siege tanks still holding the front. Bisu trying to clean that up in the midst of this, and it looks like he might be able to. But even though he might be able to swat this, he's lost everything at the 12 o'clock, and Speed has his 3rd base coming online. And he's still got 6 factories to work production-wise in the midst of this. This is honestly looking very Flash aggressive-esque, I have to say. To credit Speed, I'm now a Speed fan. Yeah, Bisu dropping the ball. And Speed able to take the victory through relentless pressure. Hope you got a really fun build there too. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.